A family reached out to me on Facebook with £7,500 in mortgage arrears, and they was this close to being repossessed and losing everything. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I saved them using the assisted sale strategy. And if you are thinking about doing these type of deals, what to look out for, how to deal with lenders, and also how to protect yourself if you are going to refurb the property and get it sold and cash in. And also I'll give you a breakdown of what I walked away with and what the seller walked away with, because in these type of arrangements, it's very easy to miss a few details and your profit being absolutely wiped out. So let's get into it. Yes, sir. Now, I would hope you know what an assisted sale is, but fear not if you don't. You can watch this video up here and it goes into great detail. But whilst I have your attention, my friend, in a nutshell, it's where you joint partner up with a seller who's been struggling to sell their property for whatever reason. You come along with your resources, whether that be time, money, and the rest of it, and you both sell it together and financially benefit. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's jump into the situation. Now, the family business had been affected by the plague, which happened a few years ago. I'm not going to mention the name because the algorithm might start messing up with my stuff, which that's not going to happen, but you get the point. So money dried up. They reached out to me. I went round there and seen that, of course, they hadn't touched this property for quite some time. It's going to need a lot of work. They've attempted to rent it to the council. They've tried selling it, but they just literally ran out of time. So because time was very slim and what they owed on the mortgage was quite substantial, I had no choice but to offer this type of solution to them. The reason why, because the numbers were very tight. They had an outstanding mortgage of approximately 138, and I agreed 148 with them, so I could leave myself with a bit of a buffer in terms of safety, refurb, arrears, and any market fluctuations, because during that time, interest rates were slowly increasing. Now, you might think, why didn't you just buy that property? Well, as I said, the mortgage was 138. It would only make sense if I bought it around about the 120 mark, because when you buy it traditionally, you need to consider stamp duty. And then when you dispose of the asset, you get hit with capital gains tax. And with the assisted sale strategy, none of that applies. And another honest answer is, I didn't have the money. But anyway, time goes on, you learn from your lessons and you build your pot, don't you? But some quick figures about this. I sold the property for £204,000, walked away with 56,000-ish. All of that wasn't profit, but I could have walked away with £6,300 more. But somewhere down the line, literally close to completing, somebody, such as a creditor, wasn't allowing the completion because they hadn't paid off whatever they had outstanding. Now, bearing in mind, before I got into the deal, I was made aware, according to the title deeds, that those creditors that had secured loans against the property. And I found out how much they were because they had sent me some letters stating the figures. But one of the creditors argued that there was extra outstanding. Unfortunately, they didn't have the money to pay for that, so it came out of my sum. Not happy about it, but it's just one of them. Luckily, there was enough meat on the bone to kind of factor that in. Now, bearing in mind, even though I agreed what I agreed with them, which was 148,000-ish, that would have allowed them to walk away with approximately £10,000, because people don't do things for no reason. Like, there has to be a mutual benefit in this type of arrangement. So they knew if they agreed that price with me, they'd walk around X amount. And bearing in mind, I did pay for their legal fees as well, and I paid for mine. So that gives you an overview of the figures. Now, that's why you have to be careful when it comes to assisted sales. It comes with a lot of risks, and I will create another video going into great detail what to avoid. Watch out for that. But if you want to find out more about how this strategy can work for you, scan this code, you'll get access to my free assisted sale playbook. But let's move on. Now, before we both signed on the dotted line, I attempted to negotiate a deal with a lender to find out the current situation. I'm trying to save somebody from a repossession this morning. There's 2 £200 remaining, because what you don't want to do is get yourself into somebody else's sticky situation. So part 2 of saving this property from a repossession this morning. The bailiff and the locksmith turned up at 11 a.m. wanting to gain access. But I got there just in the nick of time, and you get sticky as part of that. Because you gotta think, if you're gonna save them and put thousands of pounds on the line, you need to protect your interest. You do not need to get involved with anybody's situation. But once you do, you're in deep. So it's very important that I find out the depth of the situation, what was exactly owed, and if there's anything that I could do to buy some time. Turns out that because they had many lifelines, there's nothing the bank could do. The bank was just interested in them paying their arrears, which wasn't possible for them to do it by themselves with the support of family. Now, what I decided to do was try and make it aware that I am involved to help them sell that property. So that's what the lender's interested in. The lenders do not want to repossess if they can get away with it. Their business model is earning money off money. So once they start getting involved with the sticky stuff, they try and discourage that as much as possible. So understand that if you can come in and actually offer a solution, they're all ears, mate. All of it. So that's what I did. I told him that this was the plan. We hope to refurb the property and get it sold. And they made it very clear to me, we're just interested in those arrears being paid off. So what did I do? Call the solicitor up and say, let's get this done ASAP. So we arranged to pay off the arrears. Of course, we had to iron out the finer details in the agreement first, and it looked like this in a brief summary. I will go in there, refurb the property with my own funds, pay off the arrears, and of course, as long as I benefited from anything above the agreed 148,000, I would keep. Now, the funny thing about this is that I literally paid off the arrears after we signed the paperwork, and I didn't even lift the paintbrush. I wasn't completely sure if there was still going to be evicted. I could have lost everything at that point. But the thing is, when it comes to property, it's not the quickest way to get money in your account if you are choosing to flip, because anything can go wrong. There's so much that is involved, such as mortgage brokers, you got market conditions, you got people's feelings, you got chains. So I decided to get a length of 18 months on that agreement, because I'm putting down £7,500. If I need to do plan B and try and rent it out to recoup some funds back, then so be it. Ultimately, it had to be worth my time. Now, one of the clauses was that they were obligated to pay the mortgage for the first 6 months. And then I paid for the remaining until it sold. And it was a bit concerning because at that time, interest rates were rising. And it got to the point where I was paying like $850 a month. And of course, that eroded the margin. So you can see it can be very, very risky, but at the same time, it's a level of compromise trying to get this done. But imagine this, you sign on a dotted line, you pay off the arrears, to find out that the owner calls you a few days later and tells you the bailiffs are on the way. I'm like, you what? Mate, I haven't moved so quick in my life. I went all the way over to the house, and funny enough, about 5 minutes later, the bailiff pulled up along with a locksmith. And I said to myself, I ain't losing what I've just put in. No way, because to make it even worse, it wasn't even my money. I lent it from somebody else, or should I say I borrowed it from somebody else, and I had to pay them plus 10% interest when the property sold. I'm like, the property ain't selling, I ain't losing. So I literally said to a mate, what's the crack with this? He told me, listen, we're just following orders and we're here to evict you and change the locks. Because what happens when they change the locks, they would then drop them keys to a local agent and then they would list it. I said, it's not going down like that. In a nutshell, mate, you're gonna have to call the military or MI6. I'm not moving from this door because I've paid the arrears off and you should have received them by now. Long story short, it was on the blower to the lender and their system was lagging. So they couldn't actually prove that they had received the goods. But once they changed the locks, mate, technically you'll be trespassing. So funny enough, he said, look, give it a few days and we will see if we received the funds. And we was there literally for a good 45 minutes. I just was not moving at all. But long story short, once again, They have received the funds, and then I started to refurb the property. Kitchen, bathroom, had a lot of people help me and paid a lot of people, learned a lot of lessons, learned that on future assisted sales, which I didn't listen to my own advice, just outsource the work to other people, stick to what you're good at, and allow the project to flourish, get it on the market as quick as possible. So there's a few lessons that you can take away from this video, especially when it comes to protecting yourself if you move forward with this type of strategy. Please download the title deeds from the land registry and find out who the creditors are and inquire to find out how much is owed and what terms are put in place. Because there's a lot of sellers out there that need your help, but you can only help them if you understand how this strategy works inside out. And you can by downloading the playbook right here, absolutely free, or check the link in my description below. And if you want to understand a bit more on how to refurb a property from start to finish, check this video here.